Hey everybody, it's Mike D, and I'm out in nature in the park today in honor of plants. Specifically, Stevie Wonder had a double album he released in the late 70s called The Secret Life of Plants. So I do like to look into more quirky or offbeat collections in an artist's catalog. So instead of talking about his greatest hits today, which we all enjoy, I'm going to dig into this 1978 double album, which is always a risk to put out a giant double album. And a lot of the younger kids in the audience may not be able to afford it, but like Fleetwood Mac Tusk. So there's kind of that risk. But this one, it had really cool artwork on the cover, and it was Stevie Wonder's take on nature and butterflies and caterpillars and the ballads. There are a lot of ballads. They're kind of dreamy and artistic, and I like it. It's different. It's not really commercial music. I think he wanted to make an artistic statement. And any band or artist that has a long career going 30 years or something, pretty much all of them at some point make an artistic departure album. They've earned it and they want to do it. And so you can look at any major artist, and that's usually kind of deeper in their catalog. It may not get radio play, but it's something that's a hidden treasure that you can check out, and it's different and unique. And I think the record company did say that, well, we want a love song. We want some kind of song that we can market to the radio. And so there is one pop commercial song included called Send One Your Love, which is a beautiful song. It's a great song. And I haven't heard it much lately on any sort of classic radio. Sometimes songs just get dropped off the playlist, but it's a real pretty song, and it's not about butterflies or anything, but it is included on the album. So that is something for you to check out: The Secret Life of Plants, and see if you enjoy getting into that dreamy, artistic music and take on nature. My second topic today is Billy Joel, the mystery of Billy Joel. What happened? So the mystery is he kind of disappeared, stopped recording, and we'll get into that. But all I can tell you is growing up in the 70s and 80s, early 90s, I mean, this guy was all over the place. This was maybe the number one male pop artist in America. Maybe it's potentially possible for a U.S. citizen. Maybe Elton John would be, from a foreign place, but in America. Um, and he had that New York earthy, a lot of songs that Americans could just always relate to, having grown up here. So his albums would be huge. They'd have like 5 or 6 singles on them, like Innocent Man. I mean, all throughout my high school, they would crank out these singles. And so sometimes you didn't really even have to buy the album. There was so much on the radio with him. And he finally put out a greatest hits, I think, that sold massively. I mean, if you get above 10 million records, it's called a diamond album. So I believe that's like a diamond or double diamond album. The greatest hits 1 and 2. And he was able, in the 70s, he was the singer songwriter, but he was able to transition in the 80s into videos. A lot of artists could not do that. But he could. He had a sense of humor, and he was fun, and kind of a way to relate to the camera with videos. He also married Christy Brinkley, who was the number one model in America, so that did not hurt either. That was keeping him in pop culture on the radar and magazine covers and all of that. Like Uptown Girl would be an example of a fun video he made at the time. He knew he wasn't a dancer. That's the thing. It's like you have to just know your place, and he let other people do all the heavy dance moves and such. He was there to be a character, a performer, a persona. And so, he just kept putting out these massive albums all throughout the 80s and early 90s. River of Dreams was around 93, and then it just kind of stopped. He just did not go into the studio from that point on and create a proper album. He's done some other things. He's put out various singles here and there, and he kind of put out a new version of New York State of Mind, which is a fantastic song. I mean, that should be the New York anthem as far as I'm concerned. That and New York Groove, maybe. But he did McCartney had a tribute album, and he did one or two songs on that. So, and he tours like crazy, and he tours and puts out live albums. And my understanding is Madison Square Garden had him like every month or something. It was kind of like a ritual to go to a Billy Joel concert. He kind of became like the house band. So he loves to tour, and he did Elton John, a piano tour with him, and goes all around the world, and he definitely performs his catalog. He did release a classical record around the year 2000. But, that was it for him in terms of proper studio albums. I'm sure the record company and the public and all of us would love to have some more, even an EP. An EP is simply a smaller version of music with 3 or 4 songs. But he's chosen not to do that. He's just chosen to focus on his catalog. And for a fan, it's kind of a bummer. I would love a few more albums out of him, especially in the late 90s and 2000s when people bought a lot of CDs still. It was totally viable. I don't know if he went dry, if he had maybe a writer's block. And I did read something about, he just said he had a really high standard of quality, and if he couldn't match it, he wasn't going to do it, or something to that effect. So I just feel artists should still continue to make music, or he could have done a covers album. He could have covered all of his favorite artists and put out a covers album. And a lot of artists that are going dry or having problems artistically will do a covers album or a live album with one new song. There's various things you can do when you're stuck. But he just didn't really do that. So anyway, I respect his decision. And but the last proper studio record was River of Dreams. So his arc of music was pretty much early 70s. Piano Man was his first big hit. And then he arced about 20 years of massive success and major singles. And then he, like I said, did stop with studio albums in 93 with the River of Dreams. So just to wind this up, there's a few songs in his catalog I would point to as just kind of buried treasures. I think The Longest Time is really a cool, almost a cappella song. During 1980, he kind of like a lot of artists really chose to put out a new wavy pop up-tempo number. It was the right thing to do at the right time if you could manage it, if you had the musical skills. And he did this edgy new wave song called It's Still Rock and Roll to Me. And it really kept him in the game and brought him into the 80s. And it was a smart thing to do if you can pull it off and do it right. And he certainly did. And he had a much longer career, like I said, jumping into videos and moving and changing with the times. He does have this really beautiful song. It's played a lot at class graduations or weddings or something. It's all about remembering the best times in your life. It's called This Is the Time. So I'll close with that. You might want to look at that song, This Is the Time. It's a pretty cool hit single in his catalog. And I'll leave it at that. I hope you enjoy the beautiful nature and are able to get out in nature now and then. I'm lucky in California. We have all kinds of canyons and hillsides, and there's beautiful oak trees here. And we have all kinds of ways to get away. Even in Los Angeles, we have a giant park called Griffith Park, 4,000 acres. So we're really blessed and lucky, and great weather all year long. But it's a Sunday today, so this is a good nature break, a good spiritual break, time to meditate, and I love sharing my favorite music with you. So we'll leave it at that. Take care. I'm Mike D. Go to downpeppertreelane.com. I've got some really cool things on my store and eBay. Support the channel and Patreon, like, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thank you so much. Downpeppertreelane.com. Take care.